Well, I had been at St. Mary's Hospital for 20 years, and I made a decision that I had, if I wanted to do anything else, I was going to have to resign, and I thought it was time for me to do something else. So I went on sabbatical. St. Mary's at that time was the largest hospital in the Twin Cities, and so I thought I'd just like to do something that's health-related, but not acute health care. So I was thinking about this and had almost taken a job with a dental organization, a large dental organization in the cities, when Terry Montgomery called me and said the governor would like to see me the next morning at 7:30 if I wasn't busy. Well, at 7:30 in the morning when you're on sabbatical, you're not usually busy. So I had no idea what he had on his mind. So I went over to his temporary offices in the Capitol, and I'll never forget when he came in. He came in and he was dressed in a nice suit and a white shirt, and he had 2 ties in his hand. And the first thing he says to me is, "You know, Lola's out of town, and I don't know which of these 2 ties to put on. Which one would you suggest?" One was navy blue with red stripes, and one was navy blue with yellow stripes. And I said, well, they're both very nice, but I'd take that one, the one with the red stripes. So he put the red stripes on, and we went into a conference room and sat down and had a nice little interview for about a half an hour. And then he offered me the job of Commissioner of Health, which, you know, came right out of the blue. And I said, well, you know, I have to think about this. I had no idea what was involved in the whole Department of Health. This was a Wednesday. And he said, well, I'm going out of town on Friday evening. Could you possibly make the decision by Friday? I said, okay, I'll make the decision by Friday because I wanted to talk to my religious superior first. And then I also wanted to talk to the fellow who was the chairman of our board at St. Mary's, who was a very good friend, and I respected his judgment very much. About noontime, I got a call from Terry Montgomery, and he said, you know, the governor would really appreciate it if you could make your decision by Thursday morning or afternoon at the latest. I said, okay, because I had, by that time, Sister Karen's approval. In the meantime, I'm getting a call from the governor's office again. You know, he'd really like to make the announcement this afternoon. At that time, I was living with another sister in an apartment, and the sisters at St. Mary's had called us and said, why don't you come over for dinner tonight? And I thought, good, I can tell them that when I go over before everybody else knows. Because I called the governor back about 3 o'clock and said, okay, I'll take the job, not having the foggiest idea what I was getting into. Well, anyway, I'm driving to St. Mary's. I got the car radio on, and there's the big announcement on the radio. Anyway, just to make this story about the ties tie in, he told me about 2 years later that was, at that point, he knew he wanted me to be the Commissioner of Health. He didn't need all that interview. All he wanted to know was if I could make a decision. That's how I got into the job. I was the first non-physician, which was a major thing. The first woman, and then I was a nun on top of it. You cannot imagine the letters that Governor Perpich got. It was way off in May when I finally got affirmed. And then when it went to the full Senate, 6 of the senators voted against me, but I was confirmed. At the first hearing, it was at something like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the hearing room was jammed. People, and they set it up so there were people for me and people against me, and so every other one had a chance to speak. And it seemed like more men were for me and more women against me. I really felt kind of hurt about that whole thing. After I was confirmed, no more, you know, all of a sudden all these letters and everything stopped. But it was, I really wondered several times in those months, why did I take this job? What on earth?